Good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome to Pathway to Glory here in the Boxing Corner. I'm Ben Porter here, joined by the great John Foster, excellent boxing experience man. How you doing, John?
Great, Ben. Happy to be here talking boxing with you. I'm looking forward to it. We got some great fights to talk about. I think the women we're going to get into here first, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We got three fights to cover. Let's start off with Sandy Ryan going up against Terri Harper down in Sherryfield. So, a quick fight that kind of seemed like it dragged on just a little bit. What are your overall thoughts of how both these girls performed?
Well, Sandy, she's a tough. She comes, she's on you, on you, on you. And Terry, is not backing down. So Terry's throwing some heat also, I think. But Sandy's a little faster, a little more on it, and just a little more power. And you could see that she was hurting her. I felt, even though Terry was hitting her back, uh, it was flowing Sandy's way most of the fight till
Yeah,
the end.
absolutely. Yeah, she defended her WBO welterweight crown there, and it seemed like she was able to kind of get on the front foot, being able to kind of slow down these fast moments for her and really surge forward down in the third, landing several hard hits and straight right hands. With Harper kind of looking disoriented and a little bit hurt.
Harper, and she's a two-time belt holder there, champion. So no easy fight there. Six knockouts for Terry, and then three for Sandy. So these women can hit and knock each other down, no doubt about it. Yeah, I just felt the speed was a little bit better. Like you said, she was slowing it down a little more than Terry was. So Terry, it was full speed, and then she got hit, and I think she kind of, you can feel that power sometimes when you're fighting somebody. When somebody's hurting you, and it's not a good feeling to be in there somebody that that the pain's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can absolutely, I mean, you can feel when you're getting hurt once those bruises start to internalize into your body. But I mean, physically viewing, I mean, everybody saw watching the fight. Ryan started having a nosebleed. Coming towards the end of the fight, she was kind of grabbing her face, trying to wipe the blood away, make it seem like to the officials that she was okay, trying to keep this fight going. With the veteran fighter Harper with 6 KOs off to 3, it seemed like that Harper was going to be kind of the harder hitter. Do you think she kind of took a step back in this fight?
Yeah, I mean, well, let me clarify this for you. When you're getting hit in the ring, you just got to get through that first punch, Ben.
Yeah.
And George Foreman said it best. And I was, you get hit like a bat hits you in the head, and you go, "What the am I doing in here? Am I crazy?" And so you got to get through that first blow, and then after that, Ben, there's no more pain. But you can feel the pressure, and you're getting hit, and so it's not like a constant pain when you're in there. But you got to get through that first blow. And then after that, and the blood being in your eyes, that's not really it. I mean, something's getting in your eye, and it just happens to be blood, but it's not something that. And they're used to dealing with that. So, but you just know when you're being outmatched.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Well, that's a great summary of that one right there. Let's move right along to Dalton Smith coming up as he has his sights set on Adam Asman. But first, after let's go ahead and recap the great fight against Zepeda. Were you able to take a look at that? What are your initial thoughts?
I didn't really see that one. Did you watch that fight?
Yeah, I did. Definitely, Smith was good with his footwork. It definitely does not get cut off easily. He knows where he wants to be. He positions himself best in the ring. He likes to hang out around the corners and agitate right towards the center of his opponent.
I apologize. I did see that fight. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I did see that fight. I watched a lot of it here. Okay. Yeah, Zepeda was, and he's a good boxer, that was very surprising that the kid took it to him like that. I think everybody was expecting Zepeda to come out with that one, but he's a tough kid. What is he? Scottish, Irish?
I think so. In that kind of area.
Man, tough. He's coming. He has confidence. He's cocky, and you have to be that way. You have to believe in yourself, and he really believes in himself. And the guy brings the heat. So good fighter, and he took out a very experienced and well trained fighter.
That's right.
Hats
Yeah,
off to
Smith
him.
said it was too
Yeah,
soon for Smith to kind of embrace kind of like, hey, this is the big boys. A little too soon here, as he has more experience. But hey,
he
Smith proved
thought.
him wrong. In being in this 140-pound division, what are some tips you would kind of give to kind of establishing your feet down to the earth, into the ground in the boxing ring?
Well, it all depends on who you're fighting. You got a different when you have a fighter, you know what they have, and there should be a game plan around it. So with these two guys, I mean, he's just a tougher guy, and I couldn't quite see what they were trying to do there, but I think he was Zepeda felt the power and the pressure from him. Once again, even though you say he doesn't have the experience, the guy was bringing the heat, and it was just too much for the experienced Zepeda, and he took him out. Yeah,
Yeah,
what can you
absolutely. Yeah,
do?
27-year-old almost put on a clinic for Sheffield. He knocked out Zepeda with a crushing body shot in the fifth round.
Yes,
Now, going into that, how
crazy.
crucial are big hits later in the fight?
Well, and it's not really that one. Well, that one shot was it, but you're loosening a guy up a lot. If you go into the body, you go into the body, they do start to feel it a little bit later. And then I think that one shot that he went with the right hand right to the guy, got a straight shot in, just kind of took the wind out of him. And it might have, I mean, I didn't look at the medical end of it, but sometimes you get hit like that and you rupture something.
Yeah.
So because it took him a second, he looked up, he went down, he looked at him, and the guy that had respect for each other, because another guy, boom, he hit him and goes down like that, might have come right after him because it took him a while to go down to the knee, but he didn't hit him. And then he said, well, he's not, and he started to go after him, and he just, he bowed out, and the guy let him go. But a lot of people would have been taking some more shots at that point, and the fight was over at that point.
Yeah, yeah, great points there. And how hard is it to work with the body when you're going up against a shorter opponent?
Well, yeah, it just depends once again on your style. You can't go too far out of your style. And I teach the same thing in tennis. You got to know what your style is. And if I box somebody, I'm going to beat you with my style, whatever that is. If I'm a body puncher, I go body. But if I'm a head puncher, I mean, unless this guy's really weak on the body, I got to go with my game plan. You know what I'm saying? So I would bet that this guy, in fact, I used to have a shot just like that myself. I would go down and hit that right hand, like fake it high and go right into the gut down low and hard, just like that. But I never knocked somebody out like that. But I was only 80 pounds to 112 when I fought. But that was a good shot. You got to go with your style when you box or you do any sport. Now you can win certain matches doing another, because hey, if I do this against this guy, it's not my style, but I can do it and I can pull it off here. But that's not the way I usually fight. But that needs to be a rarity. You're not going to be a champion going with what you do every now and then. Not going to work.
Yeah, yeah. Being able to kind of relate to what you went through back then, and defeating a three-time world title challenger, such a clinical finish, undoubtedly moves Smith to the next level. What is the next level for Smith?
Well, he's right. He's right there at the top of the game right now. He's working his way up there. I mean, Zepeda was a good challenge that people didn't think, he shouldn't take that fight at first, which I've been around, Angelo Dundee with Rick Mandris, and I've been in the room where, Rick will be taking a call for one of our fighters and go, no, we're not taking that fight. We'll call us next year. We'll be ready for that. The guy's too experienced right now. So, and a lot of people felt that was the deal here, but it proved elsewise. So the trainer did a good job of evaluating what his fighter and coming through. So the next level is to see who will take that next fight. And a lot of guys will dodge you, and that's I think what's happening here too with him. If the guy can beat you, I'm not going to fight you until I have to, or the money's worth it, or both. So he might have to get through another fight. I think they even talked about dropping down weight, to fight somebody else. They'll do that first and then come back up and meet him. So,
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And as Smith looks to the future against Azim, who's currently the European champion, what traits does Smith have to look forward to improve himself or kind of readjust to challenge someone like Azim?
I think it's you're always trying to improve your strengths. So whatever your strengths are, you got to go with that and make that better. It's not a matter of learning something new. Sometimes, like I said, when you go into a fight, you gotta know what makes you strong and go with that. I'll tell you a little funny story like with Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Okay, Tyson comes over to Evander's house to kind of make friends. Okay, and Tyson's there on the couch and he's making, even though he bit my ear off, I wouldn't let the guy into the front door. But anyway, Evander does. So Tyson's sitting there in Tyson's face. I got to see this. Guys, look it up on YouTube or sometime where Evander lets him come into the house, sit down. He's on the couch and he says, well, Mike, you had no chance, really. And Mike's like, what are you talking? Like the look on his face. I want to go back and just see this. And he goes, yeah. He says, when you had your first Gus, that was his father and everything. And, man, he would have went on to he would have been probably the man for a long time. He says, when you would fight, you would do everything, right hand knockout, left hand uppercut, right overhand right. You didn't know where it was coming from, where he was moving. He says, when Gus went away and you got the second trainer, and the guy's great trainer, and then you fought me, every fight since your first trainer, you do this, this, and this. And then you do this, and it's every time. So he said, you had no chance. I knew you do this, you do this, you do this. And there was no difference in any fight he had since the new trainer. So it was over. Lock and barrel.
Yeah. That was a great story there. It's almost kind of like a bullet point. It's boom, boom, boom. There you go.
This is what you're doing, and I know how to defend that. And you got no chance unless you change it. And he hadn't in the previous 10 fights or however many it was. So he's not going to change it there. He would have been smart if he did. I know that's what they do on the tennis court. They talk all the time. It's like, I have a certain pattern. I do this. Well, guess what? The one time on the big point, I've been doing this even in that match. And then when I need the big point, guess what I do? I do something else. And you'll look at me and go, and that was the biggest point we had. And I waited to hold it off to that point. I might have played two other points. In fact, boxing's the same way. Mike McCallum, when he fought Donald Curry in Vegas, and when I said to Mike, when did you have him? He goes, I knew I had him in the third round. When I made this move, he moved in. And he said, it took me 3 rounds to set up that one left hook. So that's how boxing is. It's very strategic. There's no anger. I mean, well, sometimes there's anger and stuff, but it's very calculated. Okay. And you're just, if you know yourself and you got big punches, you set them up. And sometimes it takes you a while to set up that one shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that one shot, how about Jake Paul coming out of nowhere, the last couple of years in his recent fight against Ryan Bourland, a knockout. Right at the beginning of the fight. I mean, a lot of critics have criticized him. You don't fight real boxers. You need to actually get some experience. What are your thoughts on Jake Paul in this kind of arena?
Well, I watched that and I just saw the knockout. I didn't even see him engage. They just showed the knockout there, and he's slow. I mean, he's sloppy. With Mike Tyson, it's not going to last long. You do that. He's slow. And the way he went to knock him out, the way he was swinging, very amateurish. Yeah, I was in shock. And I even put on my Facebook, check it out, John Foster Tennis Facebook there. He's in trouble, man, because when you're trying to knock something, there's still certain ways you move. You can just see a pro and you can see an amateur, and he's still amateur. It won't last long with Mike. Now, we can get into that later. We're going to talk about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. Yeah. But I wasn't impressed, to tell you the truth. I mean, and now I'll give you Jake Paul. I'm impressed because he's taken on McGregor. Now McGregor's a boxer. I don't know about this guy. Wasn't a boxer. MMA guys, they're not boxers. Sorry, I watch people in MMA all the time. They don't know how to use their hands. There's a boxer and there's an MMA guy. MMA is all going to the floor most of the time, or you got to at least be able to defend off of the floor. Okay. But most of them don't know how to box. McGregor's a good boxer. So when he fought McGregor, that's impressive. And to get in the ring. So for Jake Paul, Mayweather, give me a break. I thought Mayweather would take him out, but Mayweather's a lot lighter, I believe, or he's, a littler guy. Okay. Jake Paul's measured at at 5'11", but I think he's taller than that. I see him as taller, but he's not. He's got a 5-inch reach on Tyson coming up in that fight. But
Yeah.
and he has very good trainers around him, so I give him that. So they're I mean, if you're going to fight Mayweather, he's fought the best of the best. So I have respect for Jake Paul. I really do. I don't. Before I didn't. I'm like, come on, Mayweather, knock him out. He didn't. Sorry, he didn't. And McGregor, the same. McGregor is a tough, mean guy. He'll take you down. Same thing with Mike. I was talking with Termite Watkins, which Stallone Studios are going to do a movie on him, and then you guys will know about him. He's a Texas guy, Houston. Anyhow, I talked with him today and about the fight, so I got some stuff for you on that. But when these guys, they're tough, man. And what can I say?
Yeah, yeah. You got to hand it to Jake just for stepping up into the ring, kind of just facing the critics, facing the media. Every comment is about how much of an amateur he is. Didn't grow up around boxing. This and that.
Who's going to get in the ring with these guys?
Yeah,
I'm not. I wouldn't. Well, maybe I might. I mean, you give me a couple $1 million. I'm 90 years old now, so. But no, it's hats off to him. He's a tough guy, and he's got good people around him. But boxing's kind of, it's kind of like hitting a baseball. The hardest thing to do in sports is hit a baseball, hit a home run. Proof for that, Michael Jordan, couldn't play pro baseball, or couldn't hit a baseball. That's something you got to do from your little kid. Boxing's the same thing. You've seen these guys, they bob, they woo, they move. I mean, go on YouTube and watch Muhammad Ali put his hands on the ropes, and the guy cannot hit him. And that was in a world title fight. I've seen other guys do that. That's something you have or you don't have. Yeah. I was watching McGregor the other day in a fight where the guy took a jab, and the guy literally came and he's looking dead at him. He doesn't blink, and the punch comes like right here, doesn't make it, and then he comes right on him with tack, tack, tack. Unbelievable. I mean, and pinpoint accuracy with the punches. That's what I'm saying. I don't see from Jake Paul. He's not going to get there. It's going to take him another 5 years where you go, a guy misses you by inches and you don't blink, and then you come back and go whack and whack. And they're like pinpoint stuff. He doesn't have that right now. He's going to be in trouble. The only thing,
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's exactly, you did all that. It's the things he doesn't have. It's, you can watch boxing, you can talk to boxers all you want, but it's what you do behind the scenes to really evaluate and elevate yourself to jump in with these professionals. And that's just not something I think Jake has quite yet. He's, yes, challenging all these professionals, but himself doesn't have the professionalism I think these other guys have.
There's a skill level. It's a professional skill level that he doesn't. He's not there. I'll be in shock. I mean, and talking to Termite about it, like there's no win for Tyson really, because I mean the guy's 27 years old. That's the prime of your athletic ability as a male. Okay, the female that's your most strongest at 27, or at least I was taught this years ago. A guy comes into his power at 17, a girl comes into her power at 13, but a male reaches his ultimate strength at 27. So Jake's right there, and he's a tough guy. And I'll tell you, if Tyson's dominating, and they well, we're going to talk about this fight later, and I can get into it with you. He could be in trouble, So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, John, thank you so much for your insight. Don't forget to check out Path to Glory on our social medias, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you have it, we probably do too. Check us out on YouTube as well. And of course, John, we're going to take a break here. We'll talk to you more coming up here. But once again, thank you again for your excellent knowledge in this great sport.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. Anytime. I love it.
Absolutely.